Alright friends, this is not my normal type of experiments that I like to mess with, but I happened to see this on YouTube on another fellow's site, and I thought it was very interesting. Take a piece of galvanized and pipe, metal, in this case angle iron, drive it in the ground a foot or two, and got a piece of telephone wire run from it, mainly so I can connect the two. I don't know if you can see it very well. I can't even see it in the camera. But anyway, you step off, in this case about 60 feet, and according to other things I've read on other websites, if there's trees in between, you get better current flow. But anyway, it's called an earth battery. In researching it, I found out that over half of the telegraphs in the United States and Europe in the mid-1800s ran off of earth batteries, and they were capable of sending messages anywhere from 300 to 400 miles. Anyway, it's called an earth battery, and I stuck a piece of half-inch copper pipe in the ground here. Oh, by the way, they're running north and south, and with the copper north and the galvanized south, and the copper is driven down just a little deeper. Actually, copper is driven down about 2.5 feet deep. This was a 5 foot. Where is it? Can't find that sucker. There it is. Anyway, just so you'll know what's going on, the wire itself. Where is it? I can't find that sucker. There we go. There we go. I've got the wire is not actually connected to the copper pipe. I've just got it wrapped around so I can pull on it and get it tight, keep it up off the ground. The actual bare end is right here, and that's where it's tied into the negative end, which comes from the galvanized. And then, of course, right here, I can't find anything in this thing. Here we go. Here we go. Then my positive lead is touching the copper, and right now, as you can see, we're producing 1.016 volts. And if you look at the little V to the right, you can see it's full voltage. This is amazing.
This is the famous lemon battery. Let's make one. We know that a battery can be created by suspending two different metals in an acid. Lemons contain citric acid. If we insert a galvanized nail coated in zinc into one side of our lemon, then make a slit and insert a copper penny in the other side, we should have a battery. The voltmeter confirms that our two metals, zinc and copper, suspended in the lemon's citric acid, create a measurable voltage, in this case just over 1 volt. The red lead from the meter connects to the plus side of the battery, the black lead to the minus side. Reversing the leads, we see a minus sign on the meter, meaning I have the leads connected backwards. The copper penny is the plus terminal of this battery. Now we have over 3.5 volts. Connecting our LED, I can now detect a very tiny glow. Dimming the room lights and looking closely, we can see our LED is glowing. 4 lemons create enough voltage and current to create a very dim glow.
The experiment I will be doing today is called potato power. I'm going to take these 2 potatoes to power this one calculator. As you see, this calculator has no batteries in it. The materials you will need today will be 2 potatoes, 2 galvanized nails, 2 pennies, and 3 wires. Here are the step-by-step directions. Take a penny and poke it into the potato. Do that on both potatoes. Then take a galvanized nail and poke it into both potatoes. Then take a wire and connect it from a galvanized nail in one potato to a penny in the other. Then flip the calculator over and take a wire and connect it from the penny on one to a battery terminal in the calculator. Do that on the other side too. When you flip it over, it shall work. What I learned from this experiment is that when you take the zinc from a galvanized nail and the copper from a penny, it makes a chemical reaction. It takes a chemical reaction to make electrons flow, and that's how the calculator works.
Hello, this is Jenny in the Sanctuary on Esoteric Online. This week I've got Steve Mitchell with me, who's becoming a bit of a regular feature on the show, and today he's going to talk to us about earth energies and ley lines. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Jenny.
If you could perhaps start by telling us a little bit about the history of ley lines, because although obviously they're ancient in origin, they were only really rediscovered at the beginning of the 20th century, weren't they?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, all this rediscovering things. It's a bit like Columbo kind of finding America, isn't it? You know, people have been there before, people have been there a long time. I think the issue with all this kind of esoteric, if you like, or occult as it's labelled, which just means hidden, knowledge, is that it is literally hidden. People kind of either hide it or it gets hidden for a number of reasons, whether it's religious, whether it's spiritual, whether it's persecution. So the knowledge of ley lines has been there since ever, forever.
The dawn
Absolutely,
of time.
the dawn of time, and I'll explain why in a minute. 1921, I think, is where you're roughly referring to Alfred Watkins. He wrote a book called The Old Straight Track. The trick with Alfred Watkins was he used to work for his dad, and he used to kind of go out on deliveries and stuff. And allegedly, I mean, there's various different stories told. He was sitting up on top of a hill and kind of had a revelation, or he was looking at a map and had a kind of thought and so forth. Alfred says kind of in his own words that it came as a kind of inspiration, if you like, that he noticed that certain important landmarks seemed to be in a straight line, hence the old straight track.
Now, when you're talking about landmarks, you're talking about prehistoric sites, aren't you?
Absolutely, and kind of not as well, because then there's another key in. Prehistoric sites in terms of stone circles, burial mounds, cairns and so forth. Added on top of that, churches, crossroads, tracks,
hills,
roads,
high ground.
Hills, high grounds.
The list goes on and on.
The list goes on and on, really, yeah, absolutely. It all really ties into this kind of weird word, ley and ley. Do you know what ley means?
Well, in my extensive research that I carried out, it's something to do with a bit of cleared land, isn't it, in a straight line?
A bit of cleared land, yeah, that's one of the keys. It also ties in etymologically to the word bright or light or bonfire, bell, ley.
Right, so it's got the fire connections as
loads
well.
of hidden things. And that's kind of one of the keys that a lot of people started off with, I suppose. I think you've kind of come across your own fortune, haven't you?
That's right, yeah. In the Goatfoot God, I think she was one of the first to put forward the more mystical side of the ley line, and the fact that there could be a power or an energy attached to it.
Yeah, because of course Alfred was just really looking... Alfred. First name terms, good guy, yeah.
He was a geographer, wasn't he? He was more of a cartographer.
He was kind of just looking at the fact that, hey, why are they in straight lines? Is it just a case of kind of, it's the easiest way to find your way, really, from one point to another in a straight line? Back to the old joke, you know, why did Romans build the roads in straight lines?
So they didn't drive their horses round the bends. Ba-bum.
There's another answer to that, but I won't give it on National Radio.
I want to introduce you to someone whom I totally love, Dorothy Leon. Dorothy Leon has led a very special life, and I'd love to have her tell you about it. One of the spectacular things that she's done that's inspired me so much is that she developed the wheel with 19 spokes map, the map I also call Earth Star Western North America. So can you tell us, Dorothy, something about how you came to discover this pattern of points around the Grand Tetons?
Yes, I started out by flying in my husband's little light plane, and as we were flying around, I would suddenly see a mountaintop with kind of an energy coming out. I've always seen energy all my life, auras and all different types of energy. And so it didn't surprise me. I saw this energy at the top of the mountains. I eventually called it mountain fountains. And then I would notice that this energy seemed to be going in the direction of another mountain peak in the distance. And this kind of surprised me. So when I would get home from these rides, I would check on his aeronautical maps and start marking the ones that I had seen the lights and the energy coming out of. And then I would figure out by taking my ruler and find out that they were making these triangles. There would be either 3 mountains or 2 mountains and a river, or the different elements seem to work together in that way, the water. And so I started that way, and then as it expanded, it got more and more into different geometric patterns that I would see. And then eventually I was told in my meditation to check out the Grand Tetons, and that it was the center of a great wheel with 19 spokes. At first I didn't quite know what that meant, but I started marking that on my maps, and I didn't fly over those. I didn't go that far. But it turned out to be there was 19 different either mountains or lakes or rivers in a precise pattern around the central hub of the Grand Teton. And it was just amazing. It was like God and the creators had just marked everything in equal positions all around.
So you had some preparation for this because you've been seeing energies like auras and that kind of thing?
Yes.
And when you saw the energy coming out of the Mount McLaughlin in this area of Southern Oregon, what did that look like exactly? A fountain, like a fountain?
Yeah, kind of a thin line of energy. If you've ever seen or noticed the energy that's over a radiator, it's kind of moves. It's kind of like that, only more distinct into definite patterns. And it would come out just kind of like a line, and then I would see that line, it would go over towards another mountain. It's quite fascinating. And so every place that I saw any of this light, I marked on my maps and found out that they were connected to different geometric patterns.
So you started out, you had a couple triangles, and these are equilateral triangles. They're
Yes.
triangles where each side is the same length. And then you started seeing these more complex patterns, and you're using an air chart, and you start to see a correspondence between the points and magnetic disturbances.
Yes, the magnetic disturbances and the fault lines, they all seem to play a part in that. And not only at the was there a triangle, like say a lake and 2 mountains making a triangle, but at the point beyond the triangle there would be a magnetic disturbance just in a straight line beyond that. So I marked all the magnetic disturbances also. This is all mentioned in
what is known as an energy grid or grids. These are force lines of energy. Some people call them ley lines, some people call them dragon lines in China, meridians, whatever. Where these lines of force cross, you create a vortex. Where many of these lines cross, you create a colossal vortex. And therefore you have enormous energy which you can use to create and do various things. This guy was an Englishman in a place called Herefordshire, and one day he was on his horse at the top of a hillside, and he suddenly looked down into the valley and saw these lines in a sort of psychic way all over the place, straight lines, and they connected the sacred wells, the sacred places of worship, the points where the churches were built, the hillsides, etc. And this now, as we have moved on, has been confirmed by the scientific world, those with an open mind anyway, that this grid line, grid system actually exists like a web around the world. Now, where these ley lines cross, in their most powerful way, where most of them cross, just happens to correspond with where the ancients had their most sacred ceremonies and their most sacred places. Stonehenge and places like that were built on them. So where the lines come in and the vortex is created, that is where they built the Stonehenges. The Aveburys, another stone circle and energy complex in Britain. That's where they built all over the world their temples to access this energy.
When most people think about electricity, they think about these. But what if I told you you could get electricity from thin air? To get this free electricity, just take these few simple parts, and essentially, we're going to turn them into one of these. So I started with these parts, and this circuit plan, and made a solderless circuit like this. Here, I'll check the baseline voltage of the system before hooking it up to the antenna. Notice, there is no voltage reading. Next, hook up the antenna. The radio waves brought in on this antenna are the source of the free electricity. And now let's measure the voltage now that we have the antenna hooked up. Check that out. This is free electricity. I'll just hold this up so you can take a closer look at what we're getting here. So what can you do with this free electricity? Well, I've just hooked up this cable, so I can use it in an attempt to charge up my cell phone. Nothing yet. Oh, looks like I've got enough voltage. And there it goes. So here's your shopping list to make your free energy receiver. It's not really free because it costs $2. But if you don't have your own antenna, you can make your own with that simple antenna wire. And here's a simple circuit plan. Enjoy it.